So, hello everybody and welcome. Yes, welcome back here at BSN Network. And we'll get back here, BSN Network. This is the BSN Network podcast here today. It is Tuesday, December 8th. Hope everyone's having a good day so far and a good rest of their day yesterday. It is, in fact, Tuesday, December 8th. We are cruising right through December, officially a week through December. So that is always good. It is Tuesday. As weird as it sounds, another football game on tonight. And the announcers said yesterday that, or I see what's weird is there was it's kind of odd because they said this yesterday, and I don't know if they meant it this way or if they meant it another way, but there has been an NFL game on every single day of the week this season, or this week. I don't know if he means that meaning like a Wednesday, a Thursday, Tuesday, Monday, because there wasn't a Saturday game and there wasn't a Friday game. So I don't know what he meant. I think it was Louis Riddick who said it. It was during the Monday night game. It might have heard him wrong. I might have heard it wrong, but I do know he said something about an NFL game being on a certain day of the week. So I don't know if that means, because I don't think there was a game on Friday. I mean, unless if I'm just completely losing my mind, I don't think there was a game Friday, and I don't think there was a game Sunday. I saw there was a game. There was no game Thursday, obviously, last week. There was a game on Wednesday. There's a game today. There was 2 games yesterday. Obviously, the rest of the NFL on Sunday. And then, yeah, that's it. So I don't know what he means by that. If he means, like, certain amount of days, like, or if you count, I don't know what he means. But anyway, there is another football game on tonight. As crazy as it may sound, like this whole COVID thing has really affected the NFL season with obviously the whole rescheduling thing and stuff. But I'll tell you what, as much as it, I don't mean this in a different way than what it might come out as, but, with all these COVID cancellations and stuff, it hasn't been awful as a fan because you get more games on. Like, you get a game on a Tuesday, like, that's not that bad. I'm okay with a game on a Tuesday. Like, it stinks for the players, I know, and obviously if I had to choose, I would much rather just have the season go as planned, have a Thursday night game, have a Monday night game, have a Sunday game, and then obviously towards the end of the year, they usually do those Saturday night special games. The Jets had one of those a couple seasons ago, right, but have those games. And then, you know what I'm saying? But, I mean, it hasn't been awful as a fan because tonight there really wouldn't be much on and there's a football game on. So, we'll get into that. But these are the topics for today. Washington with a huge win yesterday. We'll talk about that coming right up. We got the Monday night games. Both games, we'll talk about them. One game I expected it. Then both games I was expecting. What I saw in both games is what I was expecting. I was expecting the Bills to beat the Niners pretty easily. I was expecting them to take care of business, and they did. They got the job done. They took care of business. They moved to 9-3, and now they have a big game coming up at home against the Steelers. Not that really being home anymore really matters. With this era of football, home field advantage means absolutely nothing. I guess, the whole travel thing, if you're an East Coast team traveling to West Coast or vice versa, I guess it could matter because the time change, the flight stuff, all that stuff, but still, it also is just a different feeling playing in your home stadium than on the road. But then we'll talk about fantasy, Ravens and Cowboys, and then, like always, I'll give you the keys of the game. I'm going to be pretty quick with the keys of the game because there was some breaking news we got earlier on today in the MLB, and I wanted to cover it today before it came really like old news if I talk about it tomorrow. And I also had something else I was going to talk about tomorrow already, so I didn't want that to interfere. So we're going to talk about Lance Lynn to the White Sox. It might not be the most household name in the world, but he was by far probably one of the biggest, probably one of the best pitchers on the market. In the MLB, the Yankees were going to possibly trade for him and possibly get him. Well, that's not the case. The White Sox snag Lance Lynn, really the first huge deal for the MLB. Really the huge first deal struck in the MLB for winter meetings. So that is a big deal there. We'll talk about it and how it affects the Yankees too, because the Yankees were one of the contenders to get him, and guess what? The Yankees don't get him. Then we move to college basketball, college football. I know there's some college basketball games on today. There's actually a lot of good college basketball games on today, so we'll talk about them. There's a lot of good ones to really be honest. I mean, there are. I mean, you got Kansas Creighton. I mean, that's gonna be one heck of a game. I mean, you got two top 10 teams battling it out right there. That's at 5 on ESPN, PM Eastern Standard Time. And then you've got Iowa UNC. That's another very good game. North Carolina, they're having another good season. Then you got Duke Illinois. I'm telling you. And then you have Rutgers Syracuse, which might sound like but Syracuse, they're 3-0. Syracuse is playing some good basketball. Syracuse is playing and so is Rutgers. Rutgers is a top 25 team. So there's a lot of good college basketball games on tonight. I'll probably watch that Kansas Creighton game. And then the Tuesday game comes on at 8 p.m. Eastern time. I think. Let's see. The game tonight comes on at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So I'll probably watch that Kansas Creighton game because that probably ends around 7, and then I'll watch the Ravens game. But if you're a college basketball fan, if you're one of those fans today, there's a lot of good games. And as for this week in college football, there are no games on today. There are some games on Thursday, some games on Friday, and obviously your usual Saturday games for college football. Big week for Miami. 3:30 p.m. Eastern Time on ABC this Saturday against North Carolina. Big week for Miami. Also tonight, talk about a packed. I would never thought I'd be saying that Tuesday night sports would be packed. You got a lot of good college basketball games. You got obviously the football game on tonight, Ravens Cowboys, which isn't the best game in the world. But if the Ravens lose, people, they're 500. They're another team that could be on the brink of possibly missing out on the playoffs. And then you have the college football top 25 rankings tonight, which I think comes on at 7. But I don't know if it's going to be adjusted because I think usually it's on ESPN. But I'm not sure with the whole with Kansas being on and Creighton. I don't know, but I know that should come on tonight. Top 25 college football playoff rankings. That's I think the third one so far this year. So you really start to get a good idea now that it's this December, who's in, who's not, which bowl games, which team's going to be in. Are you going to be in a New Year's Six bowl? Are you going to be in a small bowl? Are you going to miss a bowl game? Are you going to be in the college football playoff? This is where the Clemsons, the Ohio States, and those teams of the world really start to, show people why they should be number one in the country. So that should be fun to watch as well. But with all that being said, this is the BSN podcast, and let's get right into it. So we had some of the Monday night games last night. We had 2 games last night, and I've always said this. I don't mind the Thursday night games. They're good. I think I said this the last time there was 2 Monday night games on. I think it was the Bills-Chiefs, and then I forget the other game that was on the Monday night. There was 2 Monday night games, I remember. But I really enjoy the 2 Monday night games. Especially when the one comes on early, you watch that, and then that literally ends right when the other game is starting. So you get to see both of them. So, that's the thing. You get to see both games. For example, one game starts, ends right when the regular scheduled Monday night game was supposed to start. And that's literally what happened yesterday. The game yesterday ended, the game yesterday ended, 10 minutes, 5 minutes, maybe 5 minutes after the Monday night game started, but still, and then the Washington game, but still, I was able to watch that Bills game. The Bills game was interesting for a little bit there. It was a very odd beginning of the game, but ultimately the Bills were able to get the job done. So tonight we obviously have the 2 games. We're going to talk about yesterday's game first. Yesterday I went 1-1 on my game picks. Not, really surprised because I was kind of expecting Washington to come out and play like they did. I had Washington losing, but I had it being a very close game. If you watch yesterday's podcast, I had Washington losing 21-17. I know a lot of people had it as a blowout, and that's understandable. You look at the records 4-7 versus 11-0, you're expecting a blowout. But this Washington team's a lot better than their record shows, and this Steelers team's a lot worse than what their record shows. So yesterday I went 1-1 on my game picks, which moves me to 9-5 on the season. Which moves me, or 9-5 for the week, which moves me to 131-68 on the year. So it's still going up, and it depending on what happens tonight's game. Hopefully I finish with another 10-win week would be just ginormous for me. If I can keep on racking up these 10-win weeks, I'll be in a very good position to just keep on rolling through the postseason and obviously to the end of the year. Let's talk about yesterday's game. So we'll go with Washington since that was the game that happened first. It doesn't really matter. We'll just go with Washington. Washington yesterday won 23-17. They moved to 5-7 on this season. Steelers fall They lose their first game of the year. They move to 11-1. Still in a very good position to make the playoffs. Still in a very good position to win the division. Still in a very good position. If I was a Steelers fan right now, I would not be. I'd be a little worried. Not worried that I'm not going to make the playoffs, but I would be worried of how far you're going to go into the playoffs. You're going to make the playoffs. I mean, the worst you could do is 11-5. I think that gets you in. 11-5 should easily get you in. So the Steelers, I don't know. Mathematically, I don't know if they've completely clinched yet. Mathematically, I don't know if they have. But I mean, come on, really, you're not gonna tell me that they're gonna go 11-5 and miss the playoffs. That's the worst they can do. Especially when they have a game against the Bengals coming up, where that is a very winnable game. You do have the Bills coming up, but after that you have the Bengals. That's a very winnable game. So, they're gonna at least. I think at least they finish 12-4 because I think they get the win against the Bengals. This was a big loss though for this was, this, and I've said this so many times about Pittsburgh. They're going to make the playoffs and all, but this was a team that this is the most overrated 11-0 team I have ever seen. Right? I've ever seen. This is the most overrated 11-0 team. And if you look at it, you could say the same thing about last year's San Francisco team. I thought they were a little overrated, but at the same time, you could say, look at their schedule. They got some big wins against the Seahawks. They got some other big wins against some division opponents. The Steelers have had a cakewalk of a schedule to get to this point. Okay, listen. They played the Giants, a team below 500. Broncos below 500. Texans below 500. Eagles below 500. Browns possibly actually might steal a division from them. Titans also. Ravens might be 500 at the end of the day, but they are above 500. Cowboys below 500. Bengals below 500. Jaguars below 500. Ravens again, but once again, barely beat a Ravens team with RG3 starting. Then they had to put in their third-string quarterback who almost led a comeback in Trace McSorley, and then you lose to another below 500 team. So if you look at it the way I look at it as they had an easy schedule. They did finish 8-8 last season, so that does favor them. If you finish about 500, your schedule is going to be pretty easy. That's usually what happens. The strength of schedule goes off of how you did the year before. So if you go 0-16 like the Jets probably are going to do this season, the Jets next season should probably get some easy games. They'll probably have some easy games against some bad teams, which is why a lot of times you see a team might do really well one year, and then that next season they stink because of the strength of the schedule. You might see that. But to be honest with you, this is a team that had an easy schedule. And yesterday they ran into what I think is a very feisty and a very passionate Redskins team. I mean, this is a Washington team that is just so good, and their defense is so dominant at times. It looks like they could be the best in the league. Right? Their defense has been so good all year round. And I know a lot of people, and myself included, I know a lot of people have been talking about Alex Smith, the storyline with him, how he's made this big comeback, and I'll agree. I've said this so many times on this podcast. I think he could still be a quality starter in this league. Am I saying he's going to put up 35 touchdowns and 5 interceptions every season? No. Maybe I'm saying 20 touchdowns and maybe 10 to 12 picks. 25 touchdowns gets you maybe 7-8 wins. He can still be a quality starter in this league. And if not a starter, he can be a very good mentor. Not just because he's been around the game for a long time. Also, with everything he's been through, he literally has been through probably the most out of any football player there on this field. Everything he went through. He had 17 surgeries to repair the leg injury that he had against the Texans. We all know what happened, right? With everything he's been through, to just see him back out there playing at a high level, playing well against probably the top defense in the league, the TJ Watts, the Williamsons, the Haydens, the Minkah Fitzpatricks, to go out there and play like he did yesterday, throw for 296 yards and a touchdown, was, if you ask me, if he can do that every single game, or at least near that every single game, Washington's making the playoffs. And I think Washington wins the division. I really do. I think they're the better team. I know the Giants beat them twice, but if you look at each situation, the Redskins were in when the Giants beat them. If the Redskins don't go for that 2-point conversion, they go into overtime. Who knows what happens? If they make that 2-point conversion, there you go, see a Giants lose. Then the next time the Giants played them, the Redskins had a lot of off-the-field issues. You had the benching of Dwayne Haskins. You had the injury of Kyle Allen. You had the replacement Alex Smith. They went through about 3 quarterbacks and a half of a game. So that was another bad situation. If right now Washington and Giants played tonight, let's just say that was the Tuesday night game tonight, I would take Washington every single day of the week. Washington is the better defense and the better offense. Maybe defense is balanced. I shouldn't say that. Maybe defense is balanced because Giants' defense is very good. Maybe the defenses are balanced. But without a doubt, Washington's got the offensive advantage. And if you look at what Antonio Gibson's done, he got injured yesterday. And that just goes to show you, too, how nitty and gritty and deep this team can be. Your star running back, who had 3 touchdowns on Thanksgiving, injures his toe not even 2 minutes into the game, is out for the rest of the game, and Peyton Barber and Jared McKissick get the job done. That just goes to show you how much depth, how much grit this team has. This is a gritty team. This is a team that is close in every single one of their games. And if you don't believe me, look at their schedule. They won the first game by 10. They lost by 2 scores. But then you look at this. They only lost 31-17, which is realistically not that awful. Then they lost by 1. They crushed the Cowboys. They lost by 3. Then they lost by 3 again. Then they won. Then they won again. And then obviously they won again. So you look at some of these losses, losing by 1, losing by 3, losing by 3 again. Plus that one loss where they lost by 3 against the Lions, they were down 28 to nothing. And they or 27-3, I think, or whatever, or 24-0 something, and ended up losing 30-27. But still, the fact that Alex Smith was able to lead them to that comeback, the almost comeback, was just insane. And also, Terry McLaurin yesterday did not have the best game. He had 2 catches for 14 yards. Logan Thomas had 9 catches, 98 yards, and a touchdown. He had a big day. So Washington got the job done. And this should be an eye-opener for not just the Steelers players, but for the Steelers fans. That this is a football team that is not that good. They really aren't. They really are not that good. Sure, they're good. They're 11-1. Sure. I mean, I'm not going to sit here and tell you that 11-1 team is bad, but they're really not that good. They're not 11-1 good. They're not this insane team. If the Chiefs played the Steelers right now, Chiefs would demolish them. I don't care how good the Steelers' offense is. Their offense is horrendous. You know how many times yesterday Washington had 3 and outs and the Steelers couldn't capitalize on those? And Washington started to capitalize, and Washington eventually started to capitalize on the Steelers' 3 and outs. And you know how many drop balls there were yesterday by the Steelers? And people started blaming on the cold. Well, you're the home team. You got to realize how to play in that cold weather. You can't be dropping balls. Eric Ebron had 2 dropped balls right in his hand. Juju Smith-Schuster had a drop. He had a couple drops, right? If these guys can't catch the ball, then I don't know what I can really say. Deontay Johnson had a couple drops. Washington had a couple drops. Deontay Johnson dropped, I think, a touchdown. I think they ended up scoring that drive, but still, the fact is you dropped that. The Steelers team looked ugly at times yesterday, and they also just looked like the Washington was just straight up the better team. And I don't think I'm crazy for saying that. Washington might be. And I'm not saying that just because they beat them. I mean, really, their defense, their offense, the way Washington and Alex Smith were able to find the weaknesses in their defense, which are very little. They're barely even our weaknesses. But they were able to complicate them. They run a couple trick plays, and they got the job done. Alex Smith went 31 of 46, 296 yards, 9.5 was his average, a touchdown. He took 3 sacks and a rating of 92.3. So a very quality start, a very, 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 very good start for him. I'm telling you, man, he's got to be the front runner for comeback player of the year. Payne Barber had 14 carries for 23 yards, 1.6 was his average. He also had a touchdown. He's not, you could say, he had a bad game. He had 14 carries for 23 yards, only 1 yard was his average per run. But he's not supposed to be this guy that's going to outburst for 15, 20 yards. He's a nitty-gritty running back. He's a guy that on a 4th down and 1, on a 3rd down and 1, on an inches play, whatever it is, on a 2nd down and 2, you give him the ball, he puts his shoulder down and pounds right through that offensive line. He's not meant to be this 150-yard, 3-touchdown running back. That's just not what he does. So, you could say that was a bad game for him. He still scored a touchdown. He's a 1-yard back. He's a guy you bring him in close situations, and you let him pound it right up the middle. Logan Thomas had 9 catches for 98 yards, a touchdown. He got targeted a ton. Sims had 5 catches, 92 yards. He had 2 really good catches. He had a between the leg catch, and he had a one-handed catch. So he had a couple really good catches there. McKissick had 10 catches for 70 yards. Just that kind of stuff there. McLaurin he got targeted 6 times. I mean, he got targeted the third most on the team. He just wasn't able to take advantage of the targets. He obviously dropped the first down that he had, but still, they got the job done. And they got it done almost without their star player in McLaurin. That just goes to show you how much depth this team has. And Gibson. They did it without Gibson. When I saw Gibson go down, I was like, yeah, you can forget about it. They're not winning this game. And sure enough, they ended up winning this game. Roethlisberger went 33 of 55, 53, 305 yards, 9.2 his average, 2 touchdowns, and obviously he threw the game-losing pick on a rating of 82.7. I don't want to say that he doesn't have it anymore because he's had a decent year, and I know a lot of people are going to say, oh, well, so you're telling me that Alex Smith still has it, but he doesn't, because if you look at the numbers, he hasn't been, but also Alex Smith hasn't started as many games. I don't know, Ross, just something about Roethlisberger, I don't know, I don't know. I don't want to, throwing the ball 53 times, and they ran the ball 14. Right? 12. Yeah. 12, 13, 14. They ran the ball 14 times, and he threw 53. What is that? 67 plays, and 53 of them were passes? I don't want to try to criticize them because I'm not going to go out. I'm not going to try to criticize a 11-1 team, which I've kind of already done. But you're going to sit here and tell me you're going to throw the ball 53 times and only run it 14? I don't know. Especially with an older quarterback in Roethlisberger, if he keeps on throwing the ball 53 times, his arm's going to be. Plus, he's coming off of Tommy John surgery, and almost every single week of the season, you've got him throwing over 45, 50 times. I don't know. I'm not saying that that's not a good try. I don't know. Let's see. Struggle of day, on the run. Obviously, run game wasn't really working. McFarland had 4 carries for 15 yards, 3.8 was his average. Snell had 8 carries for 5 yards, 0.6. Not very good for him. James Washington had 2 catches, 80 yards, and a touchdown. Deontay Johnson had 8 catches, 71 yards, and a touchdown. Those were your 2 scores on offense, and they obviously had the field goal. Big Ben, they were really able to protect him. They obviously, they were able to protect him, obviously. But obviously he just could not. He needed a lot of time. A lot of these times he had a lot of time in the pocket. Just wasn't able to capitalize on that time. So Washington wins, moves to 5-7 on the season. If you want to really know why I think Washington's winning the divisions, because look at the schedule. They got the Niners. That's a winnable game. You saw the Niners play last night. They did not play that good. I got them. Niners, that's a winnable game. The Seahawks will be tough, but hey, the Giants just beat the Seahawks. So at this point, who knows? But I don't give them the win against the Seahawks. So what's that put them at? That would put them at 6-8. Then you got Panthers, Eagles to finish out the year. That puts you at 8-8. I think they finish 8-8. And to the Giants, I'm sorry, all you Giants fans out there, but these games are tough for you. Okay, these games are going to be tough. Cardinals, that's a loss, so that's 5-8. Then Browns, forget about that, 5-9. I think the Giants finish 6-10. 6-10, 7-9 at best. I don't think the Giants finish 8-8. 6-10 at worst, 7-9 at best for the Giants. And I think Washington finishes 8-8. It's going to be a nail biter. It's going to be a close down the stretch. But scheduling and ultimately better skill gets Washington the NFC East. That's my opinion on it. So the Bills yesterday, I'm going to be quick with this game, really quick, because I still have to get to, I don't know, I might skip keys of the game, to be honest with you, just because I do want to get to Lance Lynn, because that's some big breaking news there, but, I'll just go with it. So the Bills yesterday won 34-24. Bills moved to 9-3 on the year. Niners fall to 5-7. The Bills, Josh Allen had one heck of a game. To say the very least, Josh Allen had one heck of a ball game. He was unreal. 4 touchdowns. I'm pretty sure 375 yards, if I'm not mistaken. I think 4 touchdowns. I can just double check right here. Yeah, 4 touchdowns and 375 yards, if I'm remembering. And another thing, too, and you got to give credit to this offensive line. They were able to protect Josh Allen. Other than a sack late, other than, or what? Yeah. Wait, I'm trying to think. Other than a sack late, they had the one sack late that actually forced a little bit of a fumble, but they were able to recover. Other than that, which might sound like, oh my gosh, that's awful. Other than that one play, this offensive line was solid against when healthy, probably one of the best defensive fronts in football. When not healthy, still not that bad, but nothing like when they are healthy. So, obviously, it's going to be interesting, to see what happens with this Bills team. If you look at the Bills, they've got the Steelers coming up. I think that's a win. I really do. I think you can beat the Steelers, you can beat the Broncos, you can beat the Patriots. The Bills, every single game left on their schedule is a winnable game. Steelers, Broncos, Patriots, Dolphins. It's just a matter of, can you win those games? They can. It's just a matter of, are you going to get the job done? It's not one of those things you're going into it being like, oh yeah, it's going to be really tough. That's not it. Okay? It really is a matter of, can you win those games? And if it was never for that Kyler Murray Hail Mary by Kyler Murray up to DeAndre Hopkins, the Bills right now would be on a 6-game win streak and they would be 10-2. But they still are 9-3. They got over that whole Kyler Murray thing. They beat the Chargers, come back, beat the Niners. Now they're home, then on the road twice, then back home to finish out the year against the Dolphins. That Dolphins-Bills game, that might be the game of the season. That might decide who is in the AFC East and who's out. Who's going to be in the playoffs and who's not going to be. And the Bills, like I said, I think if you had to go schedule route, they've definitely got the favorable schedule because they got the Steelers. I think that's winnable. And then you have the Broncos, Patriots, Dolphins. Those are all very winnable games. So it's going to be interesting. But the Bills played good yesterday, right? The defense was on. Offense was on. Overall, it was a collaborative team effort. And I think for most Bills fans, you could probably sit here and critique them, say that, the Niners made it close late. They obviously had 17, and they obviously made it close late and stuff. They made it, they cut in within, I think, 10 points late, you could say, and then, the Bills looked like they were going to go 3 and out, and then Diggs caught the first down and stuff, and I could see where you're coming from, but I would enjoy the win if you're a Bills fan, because you came into this game underdogs. People had the Niners winning this game. A lot of people did. You came into this game underdogs and stuff. And then to come out and play the way you did, a very good win for the Bills. Because a lot of people are sitting here kind of disrespecting them in a way. Because you look at it, you're underdogs against a team that is injured and it just gets more injured. You're underdogs. So to go out there and not just beat them by a little bit, you beat them by 10. And you completely covered it. So the Bills played well. And as for the Niners, I've said this. The Niners and the Broncos are similar this season. With the whole COVID issue, they've had a lot of COVID impact their team. They've had guys out because of COVID and guys out because they were in contact. Injuries, off-the-field issues. Look, the Niners can't play in their home stadium. They got to play at the Cardinal Stadium because where they play, Santa Clara, is not allowing sports to be played, any team events to be played. So that counts for the NFL. So, obviously, it's crazy. The restrictions that they have, obviously, being that you can't even play football there. So, the fact that they have to go away and play in Cardinal Stadium, away from their homes, where they're pretty much already away from their family, because a lot of these guys are away from their family because they are playing. They kind of have to just, that kind of stuff. Plus all the injuries, plus just the whole COVID situation surrounding the NFL. This team has been through a whole lot. And for them to be 5-7 isn't horrendous, because you would sit here and tell me when all these guys got injured, I said I would throw them off the table. If they win yesterday's game, they're right back in the hunt. But I think their season's pretty much over. And you look at their upcoming schedule. You got Washington, which I think is actually going to be tough. Cowboys you'll probably win that, so that would put you at 6-9, and then 6-8, and then the Cardinals and the Seahawks to finish out. I think you go 6-10. Okay, I was just gonna say. Cardinals and Seahawks. I was gonna look at the Cardinals game, but they're away against the Cardinals. I was gonna say that Cardinals game. I'm just thinking, what if they're home against the Cardinals because they're at Cardinal Stadium? So that would technically be a home game for them, but that's weird. But yeah, so obviously, it's going to be interesting to see what happens with the Niners the rest of the season. I think they probably finish around 6-10, just with all the injuries. And you can, if you want to hear my point about the Broncos and the Niners, how they're similar, is because the Broncos, they had to play with a practice squad quarterback and wide receiver. They've had off the field issues. They've had injuries. They've obviously had the COVID problems with the quarterbacks, especially the quarterbacks, right? All that stuff. To then just be on a team overall that's just not that good, put that all together, and the fact they are still somehow winning ball games is, in my opinion, still pretty impressive. And the fact that you only lost by 6 against the Chiefs, and yesterday the Niners made it interesting late. It was a little too late, though. It was too little too late. Still, though, they obviously got the job done. The Bills did, and obviously the Niners. I think the rest of the year is really just to the point. Just try to win as many games as you can. I don't think you're gonna go on some crazy 4-game win streak, get help from other teams, squeak in at 9-7, and make another Super Bowl run like you did last season. And I'm gonna sit here and tell you this: I do think the Niners could very well be back next year. I do, because you get Kittle back, you're gonna get Garoppolo back, you're gonna get Bosa back. You're gonna get Buckner back. Buckner left. I'm sorry. You might not get Sherman back. Maybe Javon Kinlaw is getting experience. Maybe he starts to play well. You might, whoever, you're gonna get a pretty high draft pick, because let's just say you finish 6-10, you'll probably get within the top 12, I would assume. So you're gonna get a solid draft pick. If I was a Niners fan right now, and then you obviously have Raheem Mostert and stuff, you've obviously got Deebo Samuel, guys like that. So if I was a Niners fan right now, I would still be cautious. I would still be semi-optimistic. I know the season's frustrating, but you got to sit in my shoes. I'm 0-12, so at least you've won 5 games, and at least yesterday's game had some meaning to it. The rest of the Jets games, the rest of the year, have absolutely no meaning to it. If they win 1 and go 1-15, it doesn't matter. If we win 4, go 4-12, doesn't matter. The rest of the season for the Jets, the games have no meaning to it. So obviously, I think the Bills took care of business. They showed everyone why they're still a good football team, and they showed everyone that they should not have been underdogs last night, and they got the win. Now for tonight's game, we obviously have the Cowboys and the Ravens. The Ravens and the Cowboys. Ravens come into this game 8.5-point favorites. Cowboys come into this game 8.5-point underdogs. Obviously, over/under is 45. This game is on at 8:05 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Fox and the NFL Network. On both of them, I will be watching on Fox probably, just because. Better, yeah, I just will. It's the main network and an NFL network as well. So on both of those, whichever one you get, watch it. If you don't get either of them, I don't know. I wouldn't assume no one gets either of them. I think everyone should. I know yesterday's games, I know some people didn't get them. I was able to watch it, but I know some people didn't get them. But tonight should be nationally televised though, because this was supposed to be a Thursday night game, and Thursday night games are nationally televised. But yeah, so not that tonight's game's crazy good. It's still a football game. Anyway, these are the injuries for each team. By the way, Baltimore is home. But these are the injuries for each team. Brown, cornerback ribs is questionable. Alden Smith, illness is questionable. Wilson, groin is questionable. Parker, ankle questionable. Chris Irvin, knee questionable. Knee out. And Zach Martin, calf out. Those two, Zach Martin being out is a huge loss for them on the offensive line. For the Ravens, Williams, nose tackle, ankle is out. Chuck Clark, knee is questionable. That's big. Elliott, knee is questionable as well. if neither of those guys play, they got to take shots downfield because those are your two big, deep safeties that, you really need in that game. DJ Fluker, ankle is questionable. Harris, thigh is questionable. Ferguson, illness is questionable. Smith, groin questionable. Welsh, ankle questionable. Washington, concussion is doubtful. And Williams, thigh is doubtful as well. Let's look at some of the league rankings. Points per game, Cowboys are 24th. Ravens are 14th. Points per game allowed, Cowboys are 32nd. Ravens are 3rd. Total yards per game, Cowboys are 9th. Ravens are 24th. Pass yards per game, Cowboys are 9th. Ravens are 31st. Rush yards per game, Cowboys are 17th. Ravens are 2nd. Yards per game allowed, Cowboys are 23rd, and Ravens are 8th. So tonight's game, 8:05 p.m. Eastern time. This is my pick. I do have the Ravens winning, 35-17. If you want to really know why, it's pretty simple in my opinion. I think if you look at it, you got a bad defense in the Cowboys overall, just a struggling team. Not saying that the Ravens defense is that good either. I mean, it's pretty good. I think the Ravens are better on both. I think they're the better offense in this game, and they're the better defense in this game. And if you really want to get in depth, they're the better special teams, because Justin Tucker, I think, is by far one of the best kickers ever to play football. So if you really want to get in depth, I think overall this Ravens team is just better. I know they're struggling. I know they've been through a lot, obviously, these past couple of weeks with, players being out, having to go on the road, playing a Wednesday game, all that stuff. They finally get healthy again. Mark Ingram, J.K. Dobbins, Lamar Jackson. They get their star players back. They get them back in the lineup. They've got to win this game. This is a game that you could say, you know what, go out there, get the win, and then, you focus on next game, right? This has got to be a game you've got to have if you're the Baltimore Ravens. And if you lose this game, it's only going to go downhill from here. You've got to win this game. And as for the Cowboys, if they win this game, just like that, they're right back in the AFC East. Even if they lose, they're still technically, mathematically, can still win the AFC East. But I do give the Ravens the win. Offense is better, and I think just the whole Cowboys defense is just horrendous. So I give the Ravens the win. It was 35-17, I think my pick was. Let me just check. Yes, it was 35-17. So 35 plus 17, that's 52. So I take the over on the over-under 45, and I have the Ravens covering. I got the Ravens winning. That's my pick. So hopefully they win, and hopefully I get 10 wins again. That would be good. Let's see. Okay, so now I move on to fantasy football. I'm going to be quick with this one. I mean, I kind of already told the outcomes yesterday about it. Kind of a tough week in fantasy football. But these are the outcomes anyway. If I could tap on that, that would be amazing. So in one league, what is happening? Okay, there we go. So in one league, I losing 121 to 108. I have no one left to go. He has no one left to go, so that's your final score. So I lose, which means I fall to 6-7. I will finish out the regular season 6-7, which means I'm below 500 to finish out the year, which is tough, but I still make the playoffs. I was joking. It's kind of like the NFC East in this league, because you have two. We have another person in my league is 6-7 as well. So, or is going to be 6-7. They lost as well. So it's kind of funny. You have two below 500 playoff teams, which is funny. But at the end of the day, I'm even going to say this with the NFC East, and I've said this so many times. At the end of the day, a playoff team is a playoff team. That's it. If you're 7-9, 8-8, 13-3, 16-0, at the end of the day, you're all in the playoffs. That's all that matters. So I'll be in the playoffs 6-7. Was really hoping to finish 7-6 and at least get the 3 seed, but it's gonna hurt if Elliott has like a 20-point day and has a big game, because I benched Elliott for Gurley, and Gurley had got 2 points. So if Elliott has another bad game, then I will be, not that I'll be happy with it, but at least I won't have to say, oh, shoulda, coulda, woulda, because if he has a 20-point game, I would have beat my opponent. I don't like to do that. I don't like to be that person that says, oh, I would have been this if I did this and all that. Like, okay, we understand. A lot of people would do that. Hindsight 2020. Right? If you would be, everything would be perfect if hindsight's 2020, like I said, because I could sit here and tell you, no, Elliott's not good, and then him be, like I literally said on this podcast, that I wouldn't start him if I were you. So then to turn around and say, oh, I should have started him. Well, not really, because it's not, hindsight 2020. You should have, but yeah. If you knew everything that was going to happen, I would be 12-0 in fantasy. So, but yeah, so 6-6. Like I said, not bad, but or going to be 6-7. Like, not bad. I mean, I still get in the playoffs, and I could still very well finish out the year at above 500. If I win the championship, then I move to 8-7 total. So 6-7 to finish out the regular season isn't awful, but at least I finish out. I mean, at least I ended the year on a little bit of a high note. I was on a 2-game winning streak, so I do at least finish out the year. I was 2-1, but at least I finish out the year on a 2-game win streak, I guess. I mean, this obviously isn't a 2-game win streak, but at least, so we'll see. But yeah, it's going to be fun. It's really going to be fun. It is going to be exciting to see what happens in the playoffs. I'm excited. But yeah, so fantasy yesterday, I had no one real. I don't think I had anyone going yesterday. No, he did. My opponent did. He had Diggs got 9, and Pittsburgh defense got 3. And as for my other league, I'm going to fall to 6-7-6. My opponent still got Justin Tucker. I got Baltimore defense and special teams. So I put in Baltimore defense. I like the matchup. No matter what they do, I'm not going to win. They're not going to put up 60 points. But, at least it would make it look a whole lot more uglier, or a whole lot more, at least it would pad the stats a little bit if they could get me like 15 or 20 points. I would probably only lose like 120 something to like 80. Would pad the stats a little bit. It wouldn't make it as ugly, but still, bad week. Gibson, I got 1 point. I mean, and that's out, and Raheem Mostert, 2 at 4 points. That's out of my control, right? That's what's always tough about fantasy, is it's out of your control when a player gets injured. Unless if you draft an injury-prone player where he's injured a lot, then that's on you. Like, for example, if you draft someone, I don't know, who's an injury-prone player that gets injured a ton. I mean, I guess you could say Mike Evans, because he's questionable a lot. But, like, what's a player that has had so many injuries in their career, like they're almost missing at least, like, 2-3 games every season? I can't think of one right off my top of my head. But if you draft a player and and I do that too. Sometimes how I draft isn't just because of how their skill is. I also draft them based off of if they're going to be healthy. Because you could draft the best player at that position. If he doesn't stay healthy, then that doesn't help you. If he's going to play 6 games through a 16-game season, that's not going to help you. That's the same thing with fantasy basketball too. More in fantasy basketball. If you get a player that's going to be out at least once or twice every couple of weeks, that's not going to be good. If you're going to get a guy that's only going to play 65 games, that's not good. Or 50 games, that's not good. That's why I usually gear away from Kawhi Leonard. If he's available, then I would take him. But that's why I usually gear away. I usually don't buy into the Kawhi Leonard because he plays about 50 games. So injuries, they hurt you. But at the same time, if in the beginning of the year you draft a guy who is injured, that's why I didn't take my chance this year on Alvin Kamara. He's coming off of a torn MCL. That's a bad injury. And you don't know if he's going to re-injury. He also had a bad year last year too. You don't know if he's going to re-injury. You don't know what's going to happen. He had a very good year this year, obviously, but still you gotta watch out. If there's a guy that misses a game every other 3 weeks, that's not good. But anyway, so let's get into this. Okay, so yeah, anyway, breaking news. We've just gotten breaking news. The Ohio State-Michigan game canceled. Will be canceled. So Michigan game canceled as Buckeyes fall below Big Ten title game. So the Buckeyes can't make the Big Ten title and the playoffs because they did not reach their limit. So wow. So Ohio State looks like they might not be in the college football playoffs, which opens the door for another team. That opens the door for a Florida. That opens the door for a Texas A&M. Even if there's an upset, that opened the door for Cincinnati. But yeah, so it's gonna be interesting. But yeah, so that's what I got there. Sorry, I just heard, that news just came in right now. I just wanted to check it. But some news that came in throughout the MLB yesterday was Lance Lynn going to the White Sox. Got traded yesterday to the White Sox. As MLB winter meetings kind of start to heat up here. Coming up next, we'll talk about Lance Lynn. All right, so anyway, White Sox acquire Lance Lynn in MLB winter meetings trade with Rangers per report. So this happened a little last night, actually. I think it happened. But when I got up this morning, I saw it happened like midnight. So I obviously was sleeping then. But yeah, so it happened late last night. I got up this morning, saw it on my phone. And I was like, this has got to be a topic. So this is actually big news for. This is some big news. This is some big news for not just the Rangers and the White Sox making this deal. This is big news for the Yankees. Because the Yankees, they were one of the possible landing spots for Lance Lynn. And you know how I feel about this. Now, I don't love Lance Lynn. I don't think he's that good of a player. But in the market of pitching that we have, I mean, see, when I mean that I don't think he's that good of a player, I don't mean that I don't think he's the top 5 pitcher right now. Top 15, sure. Top 10, you got to prove evidence. You got to give me evidence. Top 15, I got you a top 15. Top 10, that's pushing it, but if you give me the right evidence, I might agree with you. I don't think he's a top 5 pitcher right now. Without a doubt, no way. I know a lot of people have been hyping him up to be a top 5 pitcher. A lot of people thought last season the way he played his strikeouts, his strikeout and his uses of his fastball to get those strikeouts felt like he could definitely be a top pitcher in the league right now. But the pitch it market we have this offseason, he was one of the top guys. You got Bauer, you have Lance Lynn, you've got a couple other smaller guys here and there. But overall, you don't have, like last year, you don't have your Garrett Cole. The big name was Trevor Bauer, and he's still out there. But Lance Lynn is going to the White Sox. And I want to say something with the Yankees, okay? Instead of this whole motto every single year from Brian Cashman saying that, oh, we knocked on all doors, but none of them were open, that's got to end. You're the New York Yankees general manager. Us as Yankees fans have very high expectations for the teams. And actually, the evidence shows that. The Yankees fans are usually some of the people that are more of the high expectations. If you don't do this, then you stink. Or if you don't win a championship, then you stink, right? That's kind of usually just the deal there. But obviously, in regards to Lance Lynn, did I really, really want Lance Lynn? Not really. I mean, if we got him, sure, I would love that. But if we didn't get him, I'm not to the point, too, where I'm really angry about it, because he did spend some time with the Yankees, and he was not really successful, but he has changed a lot. He's really changed his arm movement. He's changed his motion. He's changed a lot from his game. That was kind of one of the low points of his career. He has now built the strength back up, built himself back up. He is now considered one of the better pitchers in the league, especially last season. Like I already brought up early on in the podcast. But it's the truth, though. I mean, it obviously is the truth that, he's a good pitcher. But, this does affect the Yankees because the Yankees were one of the teams to possibly get him. And once again, the Yankees fall short on a pitcher. And once again, the New York Yankees, unless if we get Bauer, unless if we get someone else, we're going to go another year with another meh pitching staff. Right? You're going to go another year with another meh pitching staff. That's where you're going to go. So the Yankees have to start to jump on some of these pitchers. Call him up. Give him the money. Bring someone over here. You gave Cole the money. Look how it's worked out. It's worked out very well. Give someone else the money. We need more than just Garrett Cole. Garrett Cole can't pitch every single day. You need someone more. And as for the White Sox, they're getting a very good fastball pitcher. They're getting a guy that really utilizes his fastball. Speaking of Garrett Cole, he has the most strikeouts in the Lance Lynn has the most strikeouts in the MLB with utilizing the fastball. This season, he struck guys out 479 this season. Since 2017, he has struck out 479 guys using the fastball. You know who is behind him? Garrett Cole, Jacob deGrom, Chris Sale, J.A. Happ, not very good. But you look at those guys behind him, Sale, deGrom, Cole, they're all very good pitchers. That just goes to show you what you are getting in Lance Lynn. You're getting a very good fastball pitcher. You're getting a guy when he doesn't utilize his fastball, he's got good movement on his pitches. That's one of the things when he was really struggling, when he spent time, I think, with the Twins and then came to the Yankees, like I already said early on, he wasn't really utilizing that fastball as much. He's able to utilize that fastball now, and he's really, really, really able to get guys out, and he does make guys look silly at times. He really does. So Lance Lynn, to the White Sox, obviously had a very good year with the Rangers, and now is heading on over to the White Sox, and we'll see now with the White Sox. They already have Lucas Giolito. They've already got now they have Lance Lynn. Who else are they going to get? White Sox are making things interesting. But these are just this is just a quick article I wanted to read on him. The Chicago White Sox bolstered their rotation in a late night trade by acquiring right-handed starter Lance Lynn from the Rangers, according to Jeff Passan of ESPN.com. Passan further reports the right-hander pitcher Dane Dunning heads to the Rangers as part of the deal. He's a prospect, was in their minor leagues. So to be honest, they're not giving up much to get Lance Lynn. Lynn, 33, has finished in top 6 of the AL Cy Young voting each of the past 2 years with the Rangers. In 13 starts last season, he was 6-3 with a 3.32 ERA, a WHIP of 1.06, and 89 strikeouts in MLB best 84 innings. A true workhorse, Lynn was second in WAR among pitchers in 2019 and third in 2020. So you're looking at a lot of these numbers. These are a lot of top 5 numbers in the league. He really is a solid pitcher. And like they said with the workhorse, he'll give you the innings. He'll give you 7-8. In a playoff game, he'll give you the innings. He's one of those guys that does not want to come out. You want those guys in your rotation. The White Sox had a breakout season in 2020 and are looking to go to the next level with a deep playoff run in 2021. Lynn will be a big part of that puzzle, along with ace Lucas Giolito, like I said earlier, and former Cy Young winning lefty Dallas Keuchel. So you got 3 very solid players, very experienced pitchers at the top of that rotation. That rotation is pretty scary now. That's a nice top 3 in the rotation in front of high upsides with Dylan Cease and possibly Michael Kopech. Dylan Cease has had a very good year. He's one of the young, upcoming pitchers in the league. I wouldn't consider him a top pitcher yet. Keuchel, Giolito, and Lynn are very, very, very solid. And then you get to that younger part of that rotation, and they're very hard-throwing arms. You got a lot of veterans that can mix in a lot of different pitchers, and then you got the young, fresh, new-coming arms, the new, fresh, upcoming arms, bottom of the rotation. Perfect combo. Watch out for the White Sox. This rotation is pretty solid. The Rangers return. Here also a big upside. Dunning, 25, was the Nationals' first-round pick out of the University of Florida in 2016. I went to the White Sox with Giolito and Ronaldo Lopez and Adam Eaton trade in December of 2016. Dunning debuted at the big league level the past season, ended up making 7 starts. He went 2-0 with a 3.97 ERA and a 1.12 WHIP, and 35 strikeouts in 34 innings. He was a consensus top 100 prospect in baseball before last season. So the White Sox are getting a good pitcher. They're giving up a good prospect, but you're also getting, if you want to get to that next level, you're gonna have to get guys that are really solid right now. So you're getting Lance Lynn, a solid pitcher, especially in the fastball. You already got Giolito and Keuchel. Add Lance Lynn onto that. It's a pretty good rotation now. And as for the Yankees got to realize people aren't going to wait for you. These players aren't going to wait for you. Just because you're the Yankees and stuff doesn't mean that you're going to get all the players. Okay, another breaking news. Jalen Hurts has been named starter. Jalen Hurts has been named starter. Carson Wentz has been benched. So, that's pretty crazy. So, a lot of breaking news here. Wow, that's pretty crazy. Jalen Hurts named starter. So, Jalen Hurts, obviously the young rookie. He's named starter. But yeah, so obviously, that's what I'm saying. Just because you're a big market Yankees team doesn't mean you're going to get all these top players, because it's obviously shown. Now let's move over here to college basketball. Oh, yesterday's game, Richmond won 77-72. Today we got Kansas Creighton. I give Kansas the win. Tennessee, Colorado, give Tennessee the win. Notre Dame, Ohio State, give Ohio State the win. Iowa, North Carolina. I give Iowa the win close. Luka Garza has been really playing really well. Virginia Tech, Penn State, give Virginia Tech the win. Duke, Illinois. I give Duke the win. Rutgers, Syracuse. I give Rutgers the win. In college football, there's no games on today. But Miami, obviously, like I said, has a big game on this weekend as well. So those are that's your college stuff. Miami has a big game on this weekend against, Florida. And now, with this whole Harbaugh situation, or with this whole Michigan situation, that shakes up the whole top 10. Because can you even consider, now that Ohio State won't have enough games, can you even consider them as a top 10 team? Because they're not, I'm telling you, I think the college football playoff selection show's on tonight. I think it's every Tuesday. Let me see ESPN's TV schedule for today. Let me see. ESPN schedule. So, okay, so this isn't helping. Let's see, on TV. Okay, perfect. Let's see. Okay, so obviously Sports Center, Get Up, First Take, Sports Center. The Jump. Okay, so college football playoff top 25 comes on at 7. So it comes on after the Creighton and Kansas game. Yeah. So it comes on after that. So you'll have a very, very, very good idea of, what's going to happen there. So definitely watch that as well, because that's going to be a lot of fun to see. Not just that basketball game, but also to see now that Ohio State won't have enough games. Yeah, it's going to be, tell you what, man, we shall see what happens there. I mean, and I don't know if I know it was because I think COVID, but there were some rumors too that they're just going to cancel that game. So then, but that's pretty crazy, because now they're ineligible to play in the Big Ten game. But now you sit here and say, are they going to adjust it and say that they are eligible because they're Ohio State, they're a big name team? What are you going to do, right? It's kind of one of those things. But yeah, it's going to be interesting. So I'm sure we'll see what all happens there. With all that being said, that will do it for the podcast today. I will see you all back here tomorrow. Enjoy the game tonight. Should be a good game, so enjoy that. With all that being said, I'll see you all back here tomorrow. Hope you enjoyed it, and thanks for watching.